Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Today we have a banger, a banger of a pod because we've already seen a preview of this. Darren Shaw, Dr. Darren Shaw, Doctor of Marketing. a many-time guest of the Bulletproof pod. Darren, you've been on, I feel like you've been in our window for 5-6 years, and we brought you on the pod almost every year, maybe this is the third or fourth time, right?
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I love doing this podcast. I love chatting with you. You always have great questions, and yeah, thanks for having me back.
It's been fun to watch you. You know, when I met you at a marketing conference in Seattle in 2009, and I was going to MozCon, and my wife and I were there. She was learning to market her boutique at the time, and I was into dentistry, and everyone was like, yep. What kind of marketing do you do? And I was like, I'm a dentist. They're like, what are you doing here? Most people. But anyway, it's been fun to watch you as someone who was even lecturing back then. Your meteoric rise. You are, and you're not going to say this, but you are the one of the world's experts in local search, local SEO. And it's been fun to watch you over the years really just climb in the ranks. So,
well, thank you.
You're welcome. It's tough when people say, "Hey, you're the best. You're the best." What do you say to that? Thanks.
I say, yeah, of course I am.
I say, so when you posted this massive article online, I saw it come out and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect. And like I alluded to, you came on and spoke to our podcast, our mastermind.
Yep.
And we went over the 2026 local ranking factors. And it covered so much, right? It covered, we talked about AI, we talked about your Google business profile. And I'd love for you to give the audience the wind up of what these ranking factors are, why you are in charge of this. I think you were kind of bestowed this role from David Mim a long time ago, right?
Yep.
And you are kind of carrying the torch on like, what are the ranking factors for 2026? So if you wouldn't mind, just give a wind up.
For sure, yeah. So the Whitespark Local Search Ranking Factors Survey is a survey of the very top experts in local SEO. So these are people that are speaking on stages, researching, writing, publishing on search engine land. The people that are really like in the trenches, doing the research, understanding what makes Google's local search algorithm work. And when I say that, I mean like, how do you rank in what's called the local pack or in maps? And so this survey was started in 2008 by David Mim, who is one of the absolute luminaries of this industry. He started the survey in 2008. I started participating, I think, in 2011. And it's roughly an annual survey. In 2017, David said, I don't know if I want to do it anymore. Does anyone else want to do it? And so I put up my hand and I took over running this survey. And so when you ask 47 of the world's best local search experts to score each of these factors based on their impact on rankings, conversions, AI search, you really get to see the most impactful thing float to the top, and the things that don't really matter float to the bottom. And so that's what the survey is. And it really it creates a roadmap. It's basically, a lot of people talk about it as the Bible of local search. And so, yeah, it's a real pleasure to be able to run that survey.
So can you quickly differentiate between what is local search and just what is SEO as a whole? And I know they are not bifurcated. They are not living in silos, but explain that. Because I think obviously from a dental perspective, from a service industry, it's the local, the proximity to 100%. Your audience is really important.
Yeah.
And so this resonates is where I'm going.
Yeah, totally. So SEO, search engine optimization, is traditionally, how do I get my website ranking in Google? And you really do that with two main things. You have lots of great content on your website, that's relevancy, and you have mentions and links to your website on the broader web, people linking to you and mentioning you online to your website, and that's prominence. So relevancy and prominence, authority, those things come together and you can rank a website. With local SEO, there's another element, and that is your Google business profile. And so it's like you've got to add the Google business profile. And now we're talking about another 3 key things. So 1 is optimization of that Google business profile. 2 is getting reviews to that Google business profile, plus reviews elsewhere on the web. And 3, what we call citations. So that's like listings on directories. So it's like local search. In traditional search, you're ranking websites on Google's blue links. On local search, you're ranking Google business profiles in either the local pack or in Google Maps. So that's really the differentiator. So you're really focused on ranking the Google business profile. And the Google business profile ranks based on the 3 things I mentioned, plus the other stuff too, like what you're doing on your website, and the links coming to your website also impact your Google business profile rankings. So that's a rough.
So Craig, I want to take your temperature on what you just heard, so we can make sure that the audience is hearing that. On what he just said, do you have questions?
No, no.
Makes sense.
That makes sense for me, but I'm happy you clarified that, because I was wondering. For me, it was always the one and the same.
Yeah. And look, I think, Darren, you would agree that you don't have one without the other. Maybe you can, but like there's such an overlap, right? And they haven't, Google or Bing has never said, hey, here's what ranks it exactly. Here's the formulaic input, right? No one's ever known, and no one's ever published that. But you do know through kind of breadcrumbs and like the testing you've done that these are some factors. So let's get into your article, and we will link this for everyone listening. We will link to Darren's article. It's a long, heavy read. It's good. I would encourage everyone to spend some time with it, get a cup of coffee or 3, and go through it and try to understand it. So, Darren, if you wouldn't mind, let's give the high level. Again, I'll include the link so everyone can see it.
Sure.
But if you wouldn't mind, like, give the high level or the takeaway. If I was the layman looking at this, what would my takeaway be as a dentist?
Yeah, for sure. So with respect to dentists, local search is almost everything. Like, you don't really care about ranking your website in the blue links that are buried way down underneath the ads, and then the local pack, and then the videos. Like, the blue links are not very valuable. So this stuff is so relevant to dentists. If I was a dentist and I was looking at a survey, the first thing I would do on the left-hand side, I would click local pack maps factors, which would bring up the chart. Or the table.
This is in your article? Sorry, Darren.
This is in the article, yeah.
Okay.
So I would go to the article, I would click on that, and then I would see the factors ordered by most powerful down to the bottom. And there's 187 factors. So if you just look at the top 10, 20, 30, that'll really give you a sense of what drives local search. And I think I should talk about what are those key factors right now. So
yes,
the first one is your primary category. I think for dentists, you can kind of skip that one because it's an obvious thing. Like, you're going to put dentist as your primary category. There are other categories that you could think about. So if you were an orthodontist, then you would maybe make your primary category orthodontist. That actually would be a key thing. Your primary category has the most impact of any other factor. So you want to align it with what you want to rank for.
So there used to be you get one primary, or there used to be
one primary and 9 additional categories.
9 additionals. Okay, so the primary is obviously the larger. That's where your horsepower is going to go. And I have seen it is a little confusing because it used to be dentist and then dental clinic, and then it's like which one kind of thing. And
that's the question, actually. And so the answer to that question is, pick the one that is most closely aligned with what you want to rank for. So dental clinic is almost always the worst choice. So go and look at your Google business profile. If you have dental clinic on there, change it to dentist or orthodontist or cosmetic dentist. Change it to the thing that you want to rank for, because that has a huge impact. And so that is definitely one, like right out of the gates, that's a very critical takeaway, that you've got to nail your primary category.
I've seen many people, you would think that they wouldn't do that, but I've seen many people had dental clinic, the wrong primary for what they were doing, right? There was a general dental office and they have oral surgeon picked, and you're like, you're not, so it's crazy. It's crazy that the variance that you see on some of this stuff. So this is a very, very great tip. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason you don't want dental clinic is because nobody goes to Google and searches dental clinic Atlanta.
Yeah.
Type in dentist, right? So yeah. And then the second most impactful local search ranking factor is proximity of address to the point of search. So what that means is how close is your business to the person that is searching? So if you are a dentist on the south side of the city and you're thinking in your mind, I want to attract new patients from the entire city, you can wipe that thought from your mind. It is impossible. You will not get patients in the local search results from the whole city. You will mostly get them within a 5 to 10 mile radius around your business. Dentists are quite competitive, so that actual proximity even tightens up further. I'd say like you're talking 3 to 5 miles is typically where all of the leads and calls coming through your Google business profile are going to come from.
So let me just slow this down so everyone understands. So basically, Darren, if I'm sitting in a coffee shop and I'm on my phone, I'm looking for a dentist.
Yep.
Google is saying, hey, I know you're at said coffee shop from a proximity of where you, based on your IP and your pinging of yourself, we know where you are. We're going to give you the results based on your geolocation right now.
Exactly. So if there's a dentist across the street, they're probably going to rank number 1.
Right. Okay. So, okay.
And then if you move to a coffee shop on the other
side of town,
let's say you just move 10 miles west. Now you're in a coffee shop there and you search again, totally different results. I've actually tested this where I walked down the street in London searching for things, and on every street corner I would run the search and I tracked how the results changed. The results are changing so much by proximity that it's insane. So it's like as you get closer to different businesses and you get further from others, the results will change to show you businesses that are closer to you.
Craig, maybe we need to get you another location.
Yeah, just I could get like a 30 square foot location or doing it mailboxes, et cetera, or something that would,
that's a strategy for real. Like if you want to rank in multiple spots around the city, let's say your dental clinic is currently in an industrial area, but you want to get patients from that really affluent area.
The bougies. Yeah, you want the bougies.
You need to open a location there, and it would really have a big, huge impact. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm changing my Google business profile from dental clinic to dentist right now. So just I'm not, but I am looking because Darren, I really need to hire you, by the way. So can we get to the referral link real quick?
Yeah. Well, I'm ready whenever you are. Let's talk about the third most impactful factor, which is keywords in the Google business profile title. And dentists, most of them seem to know this, because if you look at the search results, you will see that let's say your business name is Applewood Smiles. You're a dentist in the neighborhood of Applewood and you've called your clinic Applewood Smiles. If you called your clinic instead Applewood Smiles Atlanta Dentists, then you will have a big ranking boost for the keyword Atlanta Dentist. So having those keywords in your business name is a huge factor. And so it comes in as number 3, the most powerful thing. And you will actually see it in the search results.
But pause. So, okay. Yeah. So you can't just go in and arbitrarily just say, hey, my new name is this on Google My Business Profiles. Like, it's not a hack. You have to actually, it has to be on your signage. It has to be on the Secretary of State. It has to actually be your doing business as name, correct?
You got it. Yeah. So it's exactly that. So if you were like, oh, Darren on the Bulletproof Dental podcast told me I should put keywords in my business name, then you must do it properly or you risk getting your Google business profile suspended. And so what that means is what you just said. You got to have signage. You got to actually change it with the Secretary of State, change it on your official documentation, call your utility company and be like, hey, we got a new business name. So it has to be legit. You have to also change your website, change your listings out on the web, your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Better Business Bureau listing. All these places have to be updated to reflect the name. And you should do all of those things before you change it on Google. So it is a huge undertaking to change your name.
It's funny, powerful. Darren, we have this discussion with a lot of people, and I was guilty of this way back when. My first practice name before Atlanta Dental Spa in 2002 was, are you ready for this? Aesthetic Dentistry of Atlanta. Didn't know how to spell. No one knew how to spell aesthetic. It's spelled with an A, right? I wanted to be fancy because I was doing fancy work.
Yeah.
Right. And
you are very fancy.
So fast forward, I learned that, like, whenever I've done an acquisition or bought a practice, I rebrand it. It's basically town plus dental. That's it. That's the name. That's the whole name of the practice. Right. So anyway, I'm glad that you are talking about this, because I think the takeaway from that has been like, oh, cool, just go in and modify my Google My Business name. Like that'll work. Right. No, that will not work. But if you have the ability to rebrand, or, and there's not too much friction associated with that, meaning a new acquisition or a de novo startup or something, like, go ahead and look, name it the keywords as much as you can, because it's a big lift for what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. If you're opening a new location, that's a huge opportunity to name it properly, to name it with your benefit. I do think there's benefit to having some kind of branding in it. So,
can I ask a question, guys? And sorry for a simple question, but what I noticed is that a lot of people, and maybe this is just a hack on the GMB side, the Google profile side, you'll have like Acme Dental. And that's the name of the place. But when I look on, the Google Maps, you'll see Acme Dental dash and the city, Acme Dental dash Miami Beach.
Yeah, they're probably doing it the dangerous way, which is they didn't actually change their signage. They didn't actually change their official documentation. When you do it that way, you will probably get away with it for quite some time.
Most of the people in my area are doing that. Acme Dental dash.
Literally, their name is Acme.
No, I'm saying like they want to name, R Dentistry or whatever, B Dentistry. You're seeing it. Everyone's doing it in my town. Smith Dental dash Delray Beach.
And Google does not do a great job of policing this. And so, to your earlier question, you shouldn't go and just add the names. You should do a proper rebrand. But if you did, tomorrow you will rank better. It is actually that quick. If you do what Craig is talking about, and you just put those keywords in the name, tomorrow you will rank better. And it is, people know this, so they're doing it, but they are taking on a relatively small risk that you will get suspended. You're also dealing with this thing where Google will check the rest of the web and be like, that's not really your name. And so they'll just change it back. And so then you're playing this cat and mouse game with Google where they change it back and then you change it back and then they change it back. So that can happen too.
Okay. All right. Great.
Interesting.
Should we move on?
Move on.
We
Keep
shall.
on rolling.
Okay. I want to talk about additional categories, and it's a really quick one. So like I said, with the primary category, you're going to get that one closely aligned with what you want to rank for. But then wouldn't you want to rank for other things? So there are additional categories, and they are critical to your Google business profile. So making sure that you look at your Google business profile and then you just keep searching for additional categories you can add that are also services that your clinic provides. That is.
But you get up to 9. Why wouldn't you just put it? I'm playing devil's advocate. Why wouldn't you just put them all the things that there's can't be that many for dental related services? Why would
you might actually run out in dentistry where you were like, Google just doesn't have that many that are related. Like you're not going to put cafe and tow truck driver into your
but like orthodontics, if you do any kind of Invisalign, and oral surgeon and dental clinic and right. So
even if you refer those cases, like let's say you're not an oral surgeon, but if a call came in and you refer it and that is you get some kind of referral benefit, then sure, throw oral surgeon in there. Now, I would say additional categories doesn't mean you're going to instantly go to the top of the rankings for it. You will see that if you put an oral surgeon, but someone else has it as the primary, you're not really going to outrank.
Yeah.
But it's worth putting them in there because you will get a trickle. It also just helps expand Google's understanding of your business.
That may be good, also really good in a tertiary market, right? Where there's not an oral surgeon, right? And no one's putting that secondary feature, and then you may be able to get it for your, you know what I mean? Saying like, if
I do know what I mean. Yeah. And that is totally true. Yeah. So it is definitely worth adding all the additional categories. Sometimes you will rank. So you could also outpace people. So let's say you have oral surgeon as an additional category and you're in a smaller market and all of the other dentists in the market have like 10 to 20 reviews. But you come in and you're like, aha, I know how local search works. And so you really lean into your review strategy. You get a ton of reviews. You have like hundreds of reviews, even though oral surgeon isn't your primary category, but you have an order of magnitude more signals. You could easily outrank the other businesses. And so reviews are definitely a hot topic. We have to talk about that next.
Yes.
So reviews come in as number 6, which is just having a high rating. Quantity of reviews is number 9 with text. So you want high quality reviews. And review strategy, I would say, like if someone ever asked me, be like, hey, how do I rank better in local search? It almost always comes down to reviews because the fundamentals are pretty basic. You're going to set your primary category. You're going to set your additional categories. You're going to optimize your Google business profile by filling out every field. You're going to have a good website. Now what? It really comes down to reviews and links and reviews and links. And so reviews is this huge, huge thing that you're going to keep doing. If you have a pretty basic review strategy right now, or if you don't ask for reviews at all right now, you can expect to fail hard in ranking for dentistry. Dentistry is competitive. Reviews are absolutely critical. You will see that your competition has hundreds of reviews. And the reason for that is because it is one of the key things that drives local search rankings. And a lot of people think it's the number of reviews. But this year, we saw a massive surge in a factor called review recency. When was the last time you got a review? So let's say there's a business with 5,000 reviews and they haven't gotten a new review in 3 months, but there's another business with 70 reviews and they're getting like 3 new reviews every week. That business with 70 reviews will outrank the business with 5,000 reviews. It is not a numbers game. It is a recency and frequency game. That is what will really drive local rankings today.
Darren, is there what you have seen to be like a Goldilocks number because let me just describe what happens in dentistry. And I know you see this because you have a lot of dental clients, is that like you said, if we're not pushing for reviews, if the team isn't asking or whatever, then it's a ghost town, right? And then you recognize, oh shit, we haven't gotten a review in 3 months. And then you go around the office banging the drum. We got to get reviews, right? And then you get this surge.
Sure.
And then it fixes it and then ghost town, right? So
exactly.
So can you talk about, so obviously you said that the recency, is there a Goldilocks like cadence number? Like, hey, what we've seen is if you can get 3 a week or 5 a week, very steady, right? Like just like be boom, boom, boom every week after week, as opposed to these surges and then nothing and then these surges. So there's a cadence, I guess what I'm asking.
Sure. It really depends on how competitive and how large your city is for the most part. So it depends on the competition. It's like, in a smaller market, you might have dentists getting, on average 1 review a month. Now, if you're getting 3 per month, you're doing great. You're outpacing the competition.
Okay.
In a larger market, you might have competition right around in your same neighborhood, and they're getting like 7 reviews per week. If that's true, you need to get 10. That's the cadence. The cadence really has to match what your competition is doing. And so
a lot of dentists, I'd love for you to talk about this for a second. We used to, a lot of dentists will automate their reviews through software programs like a Weave, or there used to be one called Bird Eye. And, I've never been a fan of those because it never worked in my hands because it was just a bot sending you a link versus like a personal connection asking for it. Also, I was always worried that because they were going through a third-party aggregator, Google at any moment could say, no, these are not legit, Bird Eye or something. I don't know. Again, this is just my own tin hat hypothesis. But I always defaulted to asking for the review and then sending them the direct link. Or we text it to them, but it's got to be personalized as opposed to, hi, this is the software robot that dental company uses, hoping we get reviews, but not ever mentioning it, Yeah,
that's a great question that segues into my number 1 favorite review strategy. So yes, you could use the software. The benefit of the software is the recency thing. Every new patient that comes through that door automatically gets the request for a review. And even like you'll get repeat requests for reviews. That might get annoying if I already reviewed my dentist and I've been seeing him for 10 years. And every time I go and visit, I get the email or the text message. That might be a bit annoying. But my favorite strategy, I call it the review card strategy. So what you do is you generate a short link for your Google business profile review page. And you also generate a QR code for that. Then you print that on business cards. And the business card says, hey, we hope you had a great visit today. We would very much appreciate your review. All you have to do is point your phone camera at the QR code on this card. So then you hand that out at the reception desk. At the end of everything, you say to the patient, hey, how was everything today? The patient says, it was amazing. Dr. Tushikawa is just freaking great. Love that guy. Always so gentle, such a nice guy. I love coming to this clinic. It's just like, I even fell asleep in the chair. I don't know, things like that, right? So they've had such a great experience. You'd be like, that's amazing. Would you mind sharing your feedback on our Google business profile? We would really appreciate it. It would really help us grow our business. And you know what they're going to say every time? Of course. They're always happy to do that. And they'd be like, great, I'm going to make it so easy for you. Here's a card. All you have to do is point your phone at that QR code. It'll take you straight to our review page. Now, when they leave the clinic, they've got this physical reminder. They're going to put it on their desk. They're going to put it by their computer. And it's not like they might not leave that review same day, but that is sitting there. And that review is almost like 10 times more likely to come in because they have that physical reminder. It's really
can I jump in too, Darren? I think there's something more than that here, is that there's a psychological reason. Like if you look at kind of Cialdini's principles, because you said you would do it, therefore you will, right? Yes. Or you're way more likely versus yes, and you're making it easy through the QR codes. But I think where the rubber meets the road is, hey, would you mind? And then you waited for the answer. Yes, no.
They have already committed. Yeah,
they've committed. So that is, and that's I think you're getting to the nuts of it. That is something. It's easy to blow off the software, the text message that comes from nobody.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll give you one other interesting thing about this strategy. There's something called the Ben Franklin effect. The Ben Franklin effect. So in I don't know, he had this like adversary in Parliament who was just always criticizing conflicts in Parliament. And so Ben Franklin, rather than fighting back, he asked him if he would do him a favor. He said, hey, I know you have a special book in your library, a very rare book. I'm quite interested. Would you mind loaning me your book? And this guy who hated Ben Franklin was like, sure, here's your book. So he lent him the book. Ben returned it a week later with lots of praise about how interesting the book was. And after that, they became friends. So this is the crazy thing that happens. When you do someone a favor, they now become endeared to you because psychologically, they're like, well, I did that nice thing for this guy who I did not like, but I must like him. And so the actual same thing happens with the review request. When you do that, when a person has now written a review, customer for life. They are now, they like you. They will continue coming back to your clinic. So I actually think the review strategy has so many benefits. We
did a pod on this, like the psychology of reviews, and it was like Craig and I went down like the 5 or 6 like psychological reasons why reviews beyond your ranking factors are a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just needs to be consistent. I was going to say right before you said the Ben Franklin effect, it's the desire, the human need to stay consistent with what you said. Yeah. Having someone say a praise about you makes them like you in perpetuity. It's the same thing with a monthly membership plan. Yeah. You know, when you have somebody that's signed up on a monthly membership plan at your office, they don't want to look for another dentist just to stay consistent and not have to undo that process.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Another thing I like to suggest with review strategy is you incentivize. You cannot say, hey, I'll give you a $5 gift card if you leave us a review, like a Starbucks card or something like that. That's actually against Google's guidelines. But what you can do is you can incentivize your reception staff. So you could say, listen, team, if we get 100 reviews this month, everyone gets a huge bonus. Or, that's the kind of thing that you can do. And you can gamify it too. Be like, okay, everyone, we're all in this together. We're trying to get reviews. And so rewarding your staff for reviews is totally within the guidelines, and it can have a huge impact on your review. And then especially if you're doing this card strategy, which is way more effective than an automated system, I think that's a review strategy right there. And that will pay more dividends on your local search rankings than almost anything else you can do. It is the most impactful. I have one more review tip.
Please.
The other review tip I have is reviews with photos or even videos.
Yeah.
You can attach a photo and a video to your review. Google really likes those. They have a huge impact. So one of the things you can do is you can set up a little photo wall in your clinic and ask people if they'd be willing to take their photo. It's a bit much, but you could take the photo of the person and in the clinic, like, I don't know, holding their toothbrush.
Yeah, let's do a selfie. Let's do a selfie or take a picture. Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, here's my new smile. Like, I'm in my final Invisalign appointment and look at my awesome new smile. So you get this photo of this person who's thrilled to have these nice looking teeth, and you send them the photo and say, hey, when you leave the review, it would be awesome if you attach this photo. So helping them include photos with the reviews is a huge thing as well.
Love that.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Reviews. I think we covered reviews, recency, frequency, photos, and then optimizing your strategy just to get them coming in on a regular basis. Yeah.
You know what's great
Darren,
about
I got
this
a question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, what's great about this whole thing is that as time has gone on, when we look, and I've been around for a while like you guys, and it used to be that you could hack the system to get relevancy, and you could really just build these web pages that have these massive backlinks and just a bunch of jargon and putting all your keywords and smushing it in all that there. And what's really happening is that the software and what's going on, especially with AI, is really being able to distill all the touch points of the experience of your practice from all these different places and really promote the people who actually care and who are doing well. It used to be that you could put world's best cup of coffee out in front of your storefront and people would actually show up, like, not to quote the movie Elf.
You could buy a million links from link farms.
Right. You could cheat your way through.
Right. And so it was an inauthentic experience for the end user. And I think that's always been the mission. And Darren, you correct me if I'm wrong, is always Google's like looking for, that's why they track your time on site, people's time on site. They want to make sure that it's congruent with what people actually think, right? The experience.
Which is great because it winds up being a meritocracy. So those that, we always say, to quote Gary Vaynerchuk, the best marketing hack ever is to actually care. When you care,
be a good business.
Run a good business, do right by people. And what's great is that those who are actually doing good are going to do better now because of this multi-pronged approach where you can actually source all the information from all the different touch points.
Darren, any anecdotal evidence that AIs or LLMs are reading the corpus of text that is in your reviews?
100%. Yeah. The review text is powerful. Lots of studies have been done on that. When specific services are mentioned in the reviews, that helps increase your relevancy for those specific things. So let's say your reviews are filled with people saying, I went to Dr. Boulden for Invisalign. Let's say it's just like tons of that, right? You're going to rank better for Invisalign. It absolutely has an impact on rankings. So there is evidence of that.
So basically trying to get mentioned what you are trying to do more of. If you're doing implants, like have them mention the implant, like talk about the implant and
I would say when you ask for the review, hey, would you mind leaving us a review? The person says yes. Great. I'm going to make it easy. Here's the card. And when you leave the review, I would really appreciate it if you, elaborate a little bit on the services you received. Like whatever it was that you had done. You had crowns, you had Invisalign, whatever it was. It would be nice if you just talked a little bit about that and the results. That would be great. Because your reviews also become your sales team. When people are browsing and they're reading those reviews, it's just reviews.
Well, and we've been indoctrinated to think that way because Amazon, like Craig has this example, like he doesn't buy a pencil sharpener without reading the reviews, right? I think we become the same way with like, well, what's this doctor? What's up with this doctor? Let me read the reviews. I agree.
Oh, one final review thing is responding to reviews. So responding in a timely manner, in a professional manner, and in a, just your review response can make you look good. And I want to address that. A lot of people think that the review response itself impacts rankings. It does not. It's one of the local search myths. So some people will try to like stuff keywords into their response. You don't have to bother with that, because Google does not use the review responses for rankings. It's one of the local search myths, which is another section of this report. You can go to the local SEO myths and you can see all the things that have been tested and have been proven to not impact rankings. So that's another useful section of the report.
It's in that report, the local SEO myths.
That's right. Local SEO myths section. So the report is broken down into many sections.
Okay, I see it.
I want to talk about one really critical section, which is AI search visibility factors. How do you get ranking, or how do you get visibility? There's no such thing as ranking in AIs, but how do you get visibility in ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude? I want to talk about that. But before I get there, Craig, you really touched on something interesting, which was Google is trying to get real world signals. Reviews are a great one of those. But one of the huge signals driving rankings in local today are what we call behavioral signals. So what are people doing? Are they clicking on your listing, and are they sticking on your listing? These are the things you have to think about. And so you want people to spend time looking through your listing. You want them to spend time looking at reviews. You want them to spend time looking at your photos and your videos, reading about your services, looking at your products. So the real takeaway here is make sure that your Google business profile is fully filled out, 100% completeness. Every field is filled. You've really gone to the trouble of putting good content. Your Google business profile, most people don't even go look at your website. They're only looking at Google business profile, and then they're calling the dentist. So your Google business profile needs to be fully populated. And the big miss most times is photos and videos. They added photos to their Google business profile in 2018, and they have not added a new one since. That is a major fail. You need to be updating your Google business profile on a regular basis with new photos,
like
new
your social
videos,
almost, huh?
Google Posts. There's a whole section in there called Google Posts. The posts themselves don't directly impact rankings, but they will indirectly impact rankings because they can drive more engagement signals. They give people stuff to sit and look at on your profile, dwell time. And there's an awesome thing, which is driving directions. We know that when someone clicks that button and they say, I'm going to get driving directions from my house to your dental clinic, when they click that on their phone and then they get in their car and they drive, that has been proven to have a very significant impact on your rankings. Holly Starks did a great study once where she put 100 cell phones in her car and then she queued up the driving directions and she drove. Rankings went from like 20 to number 1. And so we know Google is using this signal, and it's exactly what you said, Craig. It's like these real world signals. Like, how do you know that this is an actually good business, not a fake business? Google's looking for anything, and these behavioral signals are huge. So you've got to try and optimize for that.
Darren, I see a new business there, like cell phone as a service. Just be like, hey, I got 100 cell phones.
You could do a dog walking too. Have the dogs each carry a cell phone. But you know what's interesting too is the real live data of who's at your office. So you know, a long time ago, Darren, I called you in a tailspin because remember I went from like 1,500 reviews to like 5. I got all my reviews taken away. We couldn't figure out what it was. But at the time, my idea, and this is going back like 8 years ago or whatever, but at the time was like, okay, a normal dental office probably has 4 or 5 chairs. So you're seeing 4 or 5 patients at once. We have 18. And I bet you that blew some sort of algorithm in Google. Like, how could this person be getting, you know, X number of views per day when the average dental office only gets, you know, 1/8 of X? Now with the cell phone tracking, if you go to your Google business profile, you can see like right now a little busier than normal. 3 o'clock on Tuesday, the busiest it gets. So there's another touch point outside of the driving directions of actually the cell phones, the Google Droid users that are in your office right now that are pinging back to the mothership saying, yeah, this is real. People like this place. People like this coffee shop. They go there. They spend an hour and a half there. So I just think another piece of technology to verify the legitimacy of a healthy business.
Yeah, foot traffic is on the list as one of the factors. We definitely know that Google is tracking, and you can actually prove that Google's tracking because there's this whole thing on your Google business profile. It'll show like busy times, like
busy, busier
it's
than
really
usual kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's like you should really have like bring your spouse to the office, make sure they have an Android, and give them free coffee.
Every
Does your spouse have an Android?
Set your directions when you're driving there. Make sure both of you set your directions to said dental office.
Right.
That is a strategy. So, okay, we talked about driving directions. The strategy is you have all this staff that's coming to your office every day. They are not allowed to come to the office unless they have queued up Google Maps driving. We know they know how to get there. They've done that drive like every day for the last 2 years. But they are now required to queue up driving directions on Google Maps from their house to the office every time that they come. If they left for lunch, they got to keep driving directions back.
And since you require them to do that, their hour commute is now clocked in, and you have to pay them. This is great. So your overtime goes to the roof.
But I would say that is the only real way to manipulate driving directions, is to just like, hey, staff, before you come to work in the morning, please run the driving directions. Yeah. Should we talk about AI search?
Yes, please. I think that's a hot topic.
Yeah. So this is a hot topic, and this is a hot topic because there is this concept that this is going to take over. Instead of going to Google looking for a dentist, people are just going to go to ChatGPT, and you might see it already in your clinic. You might already hear people saying, "Yeah, I asked for a dentist recommendation on ChatGPT, and you were at the top of the list, and so that's why I'm here." You might hear this, or you're going to get a trickle of leads coming from these sources. How do you get visibility in AI? And for the most part, it's kind of the same stuff you're doing for SEO. So that is the good news. But there are a few things that you must be focusing on now that you may have been neglecting before. Even though they were still good SEO before, you probably weren't that focused on them. But we know a few things about how the large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini work. And there are the sources that they're pulling from are very critical. So here we're talking about what are called citations. And so that's listings on sites like Yellow Pages and Health Grades and whatnot. But even more so, what are called the best of lists. So if there is a list in your city, which like, the top 3 best dentists, and you're not on that list, well, it'd be great to get on that list. Same thing with like Yelp. Yelp has a top 10 list, or
damn it, Yelp.
Yeah, Yelp.
Damn Yelp. I know we should not talk about Yelp, or everyone will get upset.
Can Yelp just go out of business already? God dang.
Are they going to go out of business? Are they relevant?
Yeah, they're doing fine. They are definitely,
they are relentless in their sales process, by the way. They will hit you up all day long being like, you need to pay for something. Like, they're the worst.
If there was ever a case to pay for Yelp, it might be this. So
the best of list. Yeah, I'll pay for your best of
AI
list.
search, because being on Yelp's top 10 list, the only way to get there is really to pay to play. Then that actually does have a positive impact. So Yelp is interesting, is one of them. But what you have to do is just Google like top X best dentists in city, and you will find these lists. Those are the lists you want to be on. You can even ask ChatGPT for the list. Be like, hey, give me recommended dentists in my city.
That's good.
It'll give you like 5 dentists, and then you'll say, what are your sources for choosing those dentists? It'll be like, well, these ones are listed on the Forbes best dentist list, like whatever the list is. And so you can actually get those lists from the chats. One thing I want to talk about with AI search is that I think,
are those called listicles? Sorry, just so there's a term. Are those called listicles?
A little bit, yeah. They are called listicles.
I knew Craig would laugh on that, but Darren, isn't that the actual word?
That is the actual word. Yes.
Are they a pair? Is that what it is?
Yeah. You only need to be on one. The listicle is there's actually another strategy here. Currently, ChatGPT is dumb. They do not have these spam detection methodologies that Google has developed over the last 20 years. And so you can make your own listicle on your own website, top 10 dentists in city, and you put yourself at the very top, and then you put like 9 absolute unknowns. That's just like these tiny dental clinics, these old dudes that are not caring about marketing.
They'll never call you. Send them an award though, at least. Like, hey, Dr. Retiree, just want to let you know you made it on my listicle top 10.
Sure, exactly. But that way, you being listed at the very top of a listicle on the internet, even if that listicle is on your own webpage, it does have a positive impact on your visibility in AI search. That's a little bit of a hack right now.
Cool.
My bold statement is that I think ChatGPT is cooked. I think they are not the one to focus on because they are currently hemorrhaging money. Like, they are bleeding money. Investors are just keep throwing trillions of dollars at ChatGPT. But Google has created a comparable, if not better, LLM, large language model, called Gemini. And Gemini is basically free. Gemini is built by a company that is doing the opposite of hemorrhaging money. Google is raking in billions of dollars, and like one of the most successful companies in the world. They have so much money that they can now invest that into continuing to develop Gemini. They also have, I talked about this earlier, they have all the spam protections. The results will be better. They have figured out how to do that. They have Google business profiles. Google business profiles are the richest local data set in the world. And so Google has access to the data and also all the browser data from Chrome. Like, I don't think ChatGPT will ever be able to compete. So I don't think you really need to worry too much about ChatGPT. You should stay focused on Google. You should stay focused on your Google business profile, and you should stay focused on Google's variations of AI search. So that would be AI overviews. Sometimes if you run a search, you get an AI response automatically in the search, or there's what's called AI mode, and then there's Gemini directly. That's where I really think it's worth watching and looking, because I don't think ChatGPT is going to be able to displace Google, at least in terms of search. So that's worth mentioning.
So good. Yeah, that's good advice, right? It's not like a whole new skill set that you have to adapt for to get ranked on LLMs and stuff like that. It's like, hey, just do what's ranking you well in Google, and since they will probably win this race, in 2-3 years or whatever it is, that they will become. Yeah, I agree. If you watch the reports on OpenAI, it's like they make $20 billion a year and they're burning, $1 trillion or whatever, or something. Like it's not sustainable.
It is not sustainable. I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I have one other thing for AI search is review diversification. So the large language models are not only looking at your Google business profile for reviews, they're looking at sites like Health Grades and other industry specific sites for your reviews. They will look at Yelp too, sadly. So you want to get reviews on more than one site. And the strategy I have for you there is you have your secondary review cards. So you have your Google review cards, and you're going to hand those out to all the new patients and make sure you get that review. When you have a repeat customer who has already left your review on Google, well, the next time they're in, you hand them your health grades review card. Yeah. So this is your strategy. So people that have already left your review, you could be like, hey, John, thanks so much for that review. We noticed it on Google. We really appreciate that. Everyone had high fives around the office when that review came in. We really appreciate it. I know it's a bit much. Would you mind also leaving a review on Health Grades?
Yeah.
I'm going to make it easy for you. Here's a card for you. Just you might want to handpick your most, your customers that always just love you so much that you have a great relationship with. But that would be a good backup strategy to diversify your reviews. And that will help you with AI search for sure, because you can't just put all your reviews at Google.
So Darren, talk about I'm looking at Craig's face, and he's at the point where he's overwhelmed.
That's not true. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm just trying to find a relevant comment to make.
White Spark does, because I think a lot of people are like, yeah, this is a lot. I would like management. And like you mentioned on our Bulletproof Mastermind, you're like, we're actually really good at this stuff. So like, if you don't want to do it, like, come to me.
So It is a lot to manage, and it is a lot to stay on top of it. It's also a lot to manage Google. Google's often messing things up and ruining your profile and just verification issues and merges and duplicates. And so we have a team that does all that, and our prices are very reasonable. And so we do SEO for tons of dentists. Dentists are probably, our number 2 client type. So we do tons of work for dentists, and it's just like this. It's a lot to manage all of this and to stay on top of it. And so we're basically considered some of the best in the world, and we would love to work with you. So yeah.
So where you have a lot of services on your site, like what would someone, so the website is whitespark.ca. So where would someone, for all the aforementioned things we said, what service would they be looking to
They'd be looking
use?
for our SEO services.
SEO
services. If you go to our website, in the top, you got local SEO software, and then listings and SEO services. And then our SEO services is where we just do it all for you. And I think this is the trouble. This is why I think we have so many dentists, because dentists are busy running their practice. And they're like, I don't have time to do all this SEO stuff. I don't have time to manage my Google business profile, keep it up to date, constantly keep it updated, manage my website, add content to the website, improve the content on my website. It's just a full-time job. And so that's what our team does for you.
It's a lot, for sure.
Yep.
All right. And because I always ask for, a special gig, special rate, not gig, special rate for Bulletproof. Is there something we can do for someone who's a listener just to get something, maybe about $200 off for the sign up, the first, like Bulletproof 200? Can we use that code?
Sure. Sold. Yes. So if you come through and you mention to our sales team that you heard about Whitespark on the Bulletproof Dental podcast, it'll be $200 off your first month. And I'll just tell you, it's $13.99 a month for us to manage your SEO. So it's already quite reasonable. And so your first month will be $200 off.
Darren, thank you again. I got to say, Craig, I don't know if when your head was down, if you were making more notes, but every time we talk to you, and I've made reference of this, Craig and I are taking notes of the things that you say. And we've heard this stuff 3 and 4 times now. And it's just crazy that like these little nuggets that you pick up on. And it's not, like we tell people at Bulletproof at our summits and everything like that, we say, it's not like one magic silver bullet. It's the 4,000, right? Or the 1,000 things that you pick up, and you turn the little lever here and turn this lever here, and you're just fine tuning things at this point. But everyone's looking for like, just give me the hack. And you're like, well, it's 100 hacks, and it's turn your directions on when you come into work, and it's go to Yelp and get on the top 10 list. It's all these little things, right? So I thank you for every time coming on and just keep elevating our audience.
It is my pleasure. I love chatting with you guys. You have great questions. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was the only thing I was thinking is while you're talking, some of the hacks that you talked about in our mastermind, the link in our review, in our confirmations for appointments for directions, we already implemented that. But I was hoping that you could help me in a more nefarious endeavor of geo-releasing this so that it doesn't release to any of the people in my immediate area. So if you can just maybe we chat offline, like do a limited podcast with blocked.
Craig, is the same time too. I was like,
let's just. I just need a block for 15 miles around the Atlanta Dental Salon Spodak Dental Group.
Yeah, you'll have to talk to Apple Podcast about that.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk to Spotify and Apple and just block it. So if you're getting this in Delray, Atlanta, it's a fluke. I don't know how you got it.
It actually doesn't work. It doesn't work there. Okay, Darren, thank you once again, bud, for always coming on. And we'll see everyone on the next episode.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, we got an early bird special for our upcoming Bulletproof Summit. Use code EB2026 at the checkout to receive $125 off of registration. But the kicker is it expires December 31st. We're continuing to add to our speaker list of industry experts. We're pleased to welcome back Dr. Uche Odiatu, Deborah Nash, and on our main stage, we have Dr. Brian Harris and Dr. Jordan Davis, both recent guests of our Bulletproof Dental Practice podcast, as well as content from the Bulletproof team. You don't want to miss this year's summit. Remember, code EB, that stands for Early Bird 2026, for $125 off. The offer expires December 31st. Don't delay. Register today. Stay bulletproof, people.
Thanks everyone for watching today's episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. We hope this conversation brought you a tremendous amount of perspective and reminded you of why you love dentistry. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, drop us a comment, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. Additionally, it would really help us if you could send this message to someone that you think would enjoy it. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep leading boldly, and most importantly, stay bulletproof.